Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yugioh Everything, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's episode review. This time we will be going over episode 63 of Sevens, the duel between Roa and Luke. We had no idea who Roa's opponent was going to be in this episode. We just knew that this opponent of Roa was supposed to be the quote-unquote sixth sibling. It seems like Sevens threw us yet another curveball in the form of a very interesting and a little bit of a confusing episode that leaves way more questions than answers. Overall, I thought it was a fascinating episode. I really enjoyed it, and there is a lot to discuss. The first thing that we have to talk about right off the bat is obviously Luke being the quote-unquote sixth president of the Goha siblings. He is obviously not the sixth president. I think that is pretty obvious to all of us. The way he gets this fill-in title is simply Yugioh goes up to him and asks him if he wants to be the president, or insinuates, it doesn't ask him, but insinuates that he's the president. And rather than questioning anything, Luke decides that Yugioh must be telling the truth. A member of the Goha siblings, the evil member of the Goha siblings, the character and the group that has been going against him and his team since the beginning of this arc, since the end of the tournament where he defeated Yugioh in the finals, and Luke, being the gullible, naive kid that he is, believes Yugioh and believes that he is the sixth president. We should not be too surprised by Luke's inability to use critical thinking. I think back to the pigeon duel with Luke, which was probably my least favorite duel, probably my least favorite episode, actually, of Sevens, where I just thought he was very dumb in that duel and did a lot of things that was very immature. And, you know, when I look back at moments in duels like that, I'm like, yeah, this is who Luke is. He is a gullible character. But not only that, he lost his purpose. And I think that's something that has been a low-key theme of Luke's character in these last couple of episodes. And a person with no purpose can be led down a very dangerous road because they are constantly searching for validation and some way to bring meaning to their life. And going back a couple of episodes ago, Luke is wishing on a shooting star, and he has no idea what to wish for. Because all of his dreams since the show started and since Rush Duels became a thing have been accomplished. And rather than being able to discover a new dream or go after a new goal or a challenge, he instead decides what Yugioh is saying is true, takes it as valid, doesn't question it, and now he has a new purpose. Boom. And it's very easy for us as human beings, when we finally accomplish something that we've been going after for years, to not really know what to do. Like, we've accomplished what we've sought out to do for years. Where do we go from here? It can be kind of a scary inner question that we have to ask ourselves. And so Luke, being a natural, naive, and kind of dumb character throughout this show, as well as being a man who's lost purpose, it makes sense that he would do this. And, you know, the aspect of him trading and being a traitor, and betraying, I should say, not trading, betraying Yugioh and that group is very ironic, because you remember how harsh he was on Roman when Roman was a spy working for Roa Roman and ended up dueling for Roa Roman in that first arc. Well, Roman, I loved it. She really didn't have any lines in this episode, but called Luke a traitor, and that was such a great line for her to have, because remember all the crap that Luke gave her, even after she apologized and felt bad for it, before Luke finally was able to forgive her and start viewing her as a friend. So it'll be interesting to see how the group reacts to this, but you could tell that they were a little annoyed. Yugioh looked pretty, I don't know if angry is the right word, but definitely a little agitated at the end of this episode. And from Yugioh's perspective, of course he's going to recruit Luke. Not only does he know that Luke is not the most intelligent character, but Luke is the strongest character in this show. He just lost to Luke last week, and Luke is now beating Roa in this episode 16-0. 16-0. Luke is the strongest character in this show. No ifs, ands, or buts when it comes to dueling. And what's very fascinating is this was the first episode where I felt like they really pounded home the idea that Luke is undefeated. and that's what makes him so strong. That's what makes him such an interesting challenge. That's why Roa ultimately decides to accept his challenge, not only to verse a strong duelist in Luke, but to buy time for Mimi and Swirly. The show's done it before. I remember when Sebastian bought time for Kaizo and he took on Finger Chikako, so that's something that the show has done before, and that allows Swirly and Mimi to get into the Goha building, and I have a lot to say about that scene, about what Swirly did in that building, so just, we'll get there in a second. I want to focus on Luke and focus on the duel a little bit. But Yugioh knows that Luke is the strongest character in the show, and the episode really focused on him being undefeated. I feel like that in itself could be foreshadowing to a Luke loss. I really do believe that Luke is going to lose before this arc comes to an end. And what's fascinating now is if Luke doesn't have a change of heart and leaves Yugioh's side on his own, the only way Yuga's team wins is by defeating Luke. Not only is it hard enough to have to defeat Yugioh, a character that already defeated Yuga, but now they have to defeat Yugioh and Luke. And I would imagine the score is tied at 4. They've kind of thrown the score away. I don't think we've seen the score since it became 3-3. So I don't think we've seen the score since then. It should be 4-4 because Luke got a win for Yuga's team, and then Luke got a win for the siblings. So Luke is just getting wins for both sides, which is hilarious. But he ends up dueling Roa, which was a duel that I've wanted to see for a very long time. I think a lot of us have wanted to see. I don't know if it necessarily lived up to the hype, but I wish a duel between these two characters lasted a little bit longer. I really did enjoy when Roa just ripped Luke a new one. That was probably my favorite part of the duel, and actually Roa's speech is what helped Luke snap out of the funk that he was in, because he was relying too much on fusions, and he realized it because Roa was the one that was basically claiming he was a washed up version of himself, relying on something that didn't even seem to be in his deck, and Roa even hints that he can only use it when he's the Luke man. Is that the truth? Well, we'll have to wait and see, but Luke uses a very similar combo that he used to defeat Yuga. We talk about how lucky he got when he defeated Yuga. Seemed like he got incredibly lucky with that 777 trap card. I think when he dueled Yuga, he only got 2 level 7 monsters. In this case, he gets all 3, increases his life points by 4,500, barely withstands Roa's assault, and then turns it around on him and summons just a barrage of Geass monsters. And I gotta tell you, man, Luke is, not only does he have the record and the stats to back it up, 16-0, but he lives up to it, man. His dueling is just on another level from a lot of these characters. And beating Roa, that's probably his best win outside of the 2 Yuga wins. I've said it a lot with Luke that he's dueled a lot of cupcake characters, but he's beaten Eugene, he's beaten Yugioh, and now he's beaten Roa. He has had a very good arc where he has not dueled against really weak characters. And I know beating Yugioh is, maybe an asterisk on it, which I'm fine with, but he's versing good characters, he's beating good characters, and he's now going up against Yuga's team, and he remains a very complex character, but man, he's a bit of an idiot. I mean, he's an incredible duelist, but I'm going to call it like I see it. He's a bit of an idiot. To talk about what was going on with Swirly and Mimi in this episode, and Roa was part of that for a little bit, I'm just going to fast forward to the very end of this episode where they get into the president's office, and Mimi wants to go down into the basement area to confirm a theory that she has that the Luke Man mask was made by Goha, and that would insinuate Goha was the one who created the Luke Man and brainwashed Luke and maybe set up Luke to defeat Yugioh, and this was all part of their plan to get Luke to join the presidents. Well, they get into the office, and Swirly starts hitting the keypad. And Mimi goes, what are you doing? You can't just hit random buttons. And all of a sudden, the floor opens up and they start going down. Swirly knew the combination to the basement secret area in the Goha main HQ office here in Goha City. And not only is it a one-time thing where, it's like, oh, they didn't really explain it well. The episode brought extra attention to it by having Mimi look at Swirly very suspiciously and show us her inner thoughts. They didn't have to do that, but they did. They show us Mimi's inner thoughts, and she says something along the lines of, how did he know that code? She doesn't ask him about it, but it's very strange. And what does that mean to me? To me, that means that one of two things. Swirly is the real sixth sibling. And I know that might be what some people don't want to hear. How else does he know that code? And not only was it him just guessing and knowing the code, the episode brought extra attention to it by having Mimi yell at him to not hit random buttons and then show us Mimi's inner dialogue. Basically, shoving it in our face at the end here, this is important. You should really start thinking, why does Swirly know the code? The only other explanation that would make sense to me, if you want to say he's not the sixth sibling, is it was somewhere in that SEVENS book that he was reading. And in the next couple of episodes, he'll say, the code was in the SEVENS book, and that's how I knew what the code was. And then that SEVENS book and the SEVENS Road archetype and Otis, all of a sudden, were they the founders of Goha Corporation? You know, that could open up the theory or the path to a lot of different theories in terms of Goha's origin and how actually closely tied Otis is to Goha, because we assume that he took huge inspiration off of that book, but that's the only other explanation. He was reading the book in the episode, so I could see them doing something like that. I could see them baiting us with something like that, but if he didn't get it from the book, ladies and gentlemen, you have your true sixth sibling. Right now it's Luke. That's clearly not the reality of the situation. Swirly is the sixth sibling. I'm fully on board with that. But man, oh man, that was an interesting scene and just a really interesting episode. We know next week is Luke versus Tiger, which is another duel that I have really wanted to see. Very interested if they'll bring up the scoreboard. You know, who knows if it's 4-4. Maybe it's still 3-3. Maybe the score doesn't even matter anymore. They seem to have abandoned that point for the last two episodes. So hopefully they bring up the score. Hopefully it's tied at 4. And, you know, we'll see what happens. But Luke versus Roa was a dream matchup of mine. Luke won. I don't know if the duel really lived up to the hype. I think Roa's had a better duel against Yugioh, to be honest. I enjoyed that duel a little more. But it was still a really fun duel to watch, and Luke versus Tiger should be very interesting. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode review of Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's. Crazy to think we are already 63 episodes through this show, and we only have about 4 episodes left of this arc. I have no idea where we're going. I have no idea what's going to happen. I am very invested right now in what is to come with Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's. Comment your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for watching. And a special thank you to my Platinum tier patrons, Horace Maye, Goosey Q, Panther J, Blue Maiden 28, and Jarrett Buller, and to my Diamond tier patrons, Jesse Wood and Latrell Smith. Thank you to everyone who supports me on Patreon and who is a YouTube channel member. There are some really cool perks associated with being a patron of mine or being a YouTube channel member. I definitely encourage you to check them out. And to everyone that has supported me through those means, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I stream on Twitch, I'm on Twitter, and I'm on Instagram. Links for all those will be down below. Once again, thank you for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day. Take care, guys.